Hello and welcome to my creative process presentation. I'm Isabel Jaraba and I will present you my project related to Peter Rabbit. I decided to use other character of this series of books, that is Jemima Puddle Duck. I wanted to use this character, taking inspiration of the fashion contests that are conducted in England, also taking a little bit of influence in Pokemon collectible figures, and finally with a little bit of my touch of handmade wood carving style. I started with the concepts for the clothing of Jemima. Some of these concepts are very complex. However, the winner was number 5, a very simple design with a strong silhouette. The bonnet that the dog is using here, I think that was very accurate for the setting that I want to give, that is like an old doll that was made maybe for a woman, or something that will be a collectible figure for this book that, as we know, is a very old book nowadays. I was being a little bit ambitious, and also I wanted to do some concept art for the environment. I start with a very big puddle, like the name of the character, Jemima Puddle Duck, with some of the ducklings reflecting a little bit of the story. However, I decided to simply skip everything related to environment and focus only in the character. I started doing the sculpture of the duck. Analyzing the anatomy of ducks was key for the result. I started tracing over pictures and analyzing some bones and also muscles. That way the result will be not that artificial. It was successful, and with the time the high poly started looking like this. However, it was looking not that clay made, not that wood carved. So despite that, I started doing the retopology for later, just adding more of this polished high poly. Going a little bit more deep into the retopology, here you can see how I managed the edge flow. You can see that here the wireframe is very choppy and not smooth at all. This was on purpose because as I wanted to have a wooden figure, the silhouette, a very strong and spiky silhouette, was key to maintain the realism of the final result. Then I started doing the baking of the high poly into the low poly, checking the UV maps, and also I wanted to try some of hand painting normals. However, it will look very 2.5D, and if I wanted to go for a realistic style, it was not appropriate. This is the final result with the high poly bake in the low poly. I think it was ended with a very good result. No clipping, no problems in the baking. So because of that, I started directly with the clothing. I maintained it as low poly as possible, and I also did a high poly for it. I take my time doing the UV wrapping and organizing everything in a very big atlas. That way it will only need one material. Going to Substance Painter, I try to play with some of these generators to make the painting of the figure looks like a little bit old, like a little bit rusty. However, the result was not going very nice. I find a choppy material that by default was not looking very good. However, I adapted, and with a lot of time, I finally could make it look realistic. Then I keep doing it with the painting. I tried to draw this like scratches, but it was not looking realistic. So at the end, I decided to go simple with some signs of usage. Then I decided to go with the clothing material, focus a little bit into checking if it was looking good enough in terms of texture. Then I decided to use these colors that are loyal to the actual original design of the dog. And I decided to get a little bit crazy with embroidery and stitches textures, and I did some of these designs that you can see below, and also a signature of Beatrix Potter. When everything was done, I decided to do a very fast stand, and this is the final result. This is some of the close-ups of the textures. And this is the wireframe version with the normal maps in white. Thank you so much for your attention.